Hello, good evening, and where am I? Here I am. Welcome to welcome to the Gunnerstown pub for this post-match pubcast, where we're discussing Arsenal's win against Molde, 3-0 win in the group stage of the Europa League, and I'm joined here by the fantastic Josh Turvey. Hi, Josh. How are you doing?
Awesome. Hi, Paul. Thank you for having me here.
Good to have you. And I'm joined by Gav, who fell asleep during the game, and that's why we started late. And you know what? I don't blame you, Gav. How are you doing, mate?
We would have started a little bit earlier if you worked out how to press the buttons properly, wouldn't we?
Yep, it's my fault. What can I say? Anyway, so if you're joining us, we will be able to see your comments on Periscope at Periscope TV/Gunnerstown Tube. Or Gunnerstown Pub, at Facebook/SheWar, and at YouTube/Gunnerstown Tube. So I'll put those links up on the page. We'd love to know your thoughts about the scintillating Arsenal performance that we witnessed tonight. Josh, what was your hot take on the game?
Oh man, honestly, I'm just happy to see us score a goal from open play. To be fair, you know,
been a while, hasn't it?
It's been a hot minute, and I mean, I know that you can't really level that criticism at us in like the EL so much, but or in Europe rather, but even still, it was just I don't know. It seemed like for the whole team, it seemed like a massive relief to finally get that first one, you know.
Yeah, there was a sense of desperation, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Gav, what were your, apart from falling asleep? I think that about sums it up, right?
Well, luckily I'm not sure if it's lucky or not, but I mean I managed to stay awake for the whole of the first half, which was just a bit dull. We was again, whether it was the pitch or the players or whatever, we just seemed a little bit slow and a little bit sluggish and not too sharp in places, and that was it really. And like I say, we come out second half and it was two quickish kind of goals really, and then it was game over from there really. So yeah, it was, we won, we scored 3 goals apparently.
The third goal was a good one, Gav.
Yeah, man.
Because Baolgin, who there's been talk about, I think this week that they've reopened talks about signing him. He was brought on as a sub, I think maybe around the 80th minute, somewhere around there. He'd been on about 20 seconds. There was a throw in. So basically, it went across the Tierney. Tierney cut it into Emil Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe passed it across to Baolgin. Took one beautiful touch. Swivel turned and shot it into the top right corner, and that was it. History. Baolgin.
Baolgin.
That was Baolgin. Yeah, absolutely. So that's exciting, and Smith Rowe obviously got a bit of a run out. What do you think of that, Josh? Like the youngsters getting.
To be honest with you, that's now that I think we've guaranteed our progression, it would just be really nice to see like us populating the next 2 games with only our youngsters. Actually, I feel like I'd love to see. It was brilliant to see ESR on the field, and especially getting that like assist as well. Could honestly not have been happier. I mean, it didn't really feel like he had like enough time necessarily to impose his like style of play on the game or dictate play or anything like that. But he looked sharp when he had the ball, man. I mean, it's nice to just see a natural 10 in the 10 role for it. It feels like it's been eons since we've seen that, So I was really happy to see Emil on the field, and especially like linking up with KT. Those are like, so it was so nice to see 3 such likable people, linking up and getting a goal for us, and Fuller, and it's brilliant, man. I was very, very happy with that.
And Gav, what did you think about like Reece Nelson getting a run out, and Willock and Maitland-Niles, the Hale End youngsters, pretty consistent, right?
Yeah, I mean it's always good to see, isn't it? Really. I mean, like I say, I used to love going and watching the the early rounds of the League Cup and games like this when sort of they were bringing through youngsters. That's like the exciting thing to see, really. So I mean, we started with quite a few, and then obviously, by the sounds of it, a couple more got on the pitch as well. It's likely, I think, that we're guaranteed through, whether or not we're guaranteed top or not. But you can see a sort of more of them starting for the remaining 2 games as well, which would be a good thing. And I thought Reece Nelson looked okay from what I saw. I mean, like I say, I think we're trying to work it out. I think I must have fallen asleep around the 70th minute. Don't ask.
It's been busy, right? Conquering America.
No, I don't know. I honestly don't know why. I mean, I know I had a couple of beers this afternoon, and I had a big stodgy dinner, and that's it. The next minute, you're in your my comfy seat on my sofa, and the next minute I'm
drooling out of both sides. Yeah. Drooling out of both sides because you've been described as pretty level-headed by most of your friends.
It could have also been just out of sheer relief, like after seeing us finally just put
score.
2 in, just like, oh God, thank God, I can rest in peace.
We're not impotent.
Yeah, so, but I mean, they did okay. I mean, Paul, who was I'll throw this one back at you, mate. Who did you think out of the youngsters? Who did you think sort of impressed the most tonight?
I think they were all pretty solid. There's something about Ainsley Maitland-Niles that he just seems to be so consistent. Like I've noticed of late, he's in the right place at the right time. He puts a foot in. He's very calm under pressure. He didn't put a foot wrong. So I was impressed with that. So I think Joe Willock had a good game. He always impresses me when he gets the ball and he just kind of glides through 3 or 4 tackles, just seems to shrug them off. It's an amazing talent he has, and I'd love to see that happen more. I don't think he had as much forward impetus as he normally might have in a game. I found that, funnily enough, Xhaka was the person who was like, come on, let's just cut through the crap and let's advance, And it was nice to see Xhaka doing that. It was unusual.
Like I say, I thought, especially during the first half, that, and me and Chris, I think I actually brought this up when me and Chris were speaking after the last game, that Lacazette was almost starting as an 8 to 10 in the 8 to 10 role, which is where you thought that Willock would be best sort of starting. So I mean, I think Willock almost started off a bit deeper in the game. So. It was one of those. Do you know what I mean? It's nice to see, and obviously Willock, for his overall development, he's got to sort of be able to play anywhere in central midfield. Yeah. So it might have been a bit of a smart move from Arteta to do that, or whether or not he was just testing out what it would be like with Lacazette playing in that role. Because when he plays up front on his own, he kind of takes them positions naturally a lot anyway.
True.
So, is it Arteta saying that's where you've got to go, or them just realising that's where he's most effective? Because he's obviously Lacazette isn't the most effective in the number 9 position, is he?
Yeah. It was the first time I really saw structurally. It seemed almost like a tactical thing. With Alex kind of dropping, there were always 3 people in front of him. He was never one of those top 3. Did you notice that, Josh? You think it was a good move? Because he used to drop back and then there was nobody there when you needed him,
I think what Gavin says is actually true. It seems to be, I think, as Arteta's tenure has kind of gone on, he seems to be assuming those roles, or that role rather, naturally game after game anyways. But for some strange reason, we've not been able to really obviously this isn't referring to this game, but in some of the other games, we've not seen Alba or Pepe or Willian, I guess more frequently, kind of occupying that central role, so it's been kind of strange. As you say, we've just been left with this kind of like gaping hole in the middle because Lacazette will drop back. Alba and Willian won't move in, and everyone's getting pushed out on the wings, and we end up like having to do this like horseshoe pass shape at the back of our, so it's, I think it was, I don't know, I think Lacazette, like, for as much as his goal scoring has definitely dried up almost completely now, he does graft really hard, in those like in that hold up play, and there are still aspects to his game which I find that he does really, really well, kind of like an unsung, he's not really receiving much praise, but I think he's been playing all right, old Lacazette, in that kind of role. But I think it would be nice for them. What was nice about tonight, I think, it was less ambiguous. He was very evidently told that that's where he's got to be, and so I think
he made space for Nketiah, right? I think that was totally. It seemed like that. So having them both on the pitch for a change, because normally they substitute for each other. I think somebody had to take a different role, and maybe having Lacazette as that kind of disruptor, like I've said, in that 8 to 10 kind of channel, maybe that was helped with Eddie, because Eddie had some chances. Gav, what did you think of Eddie's game for what you saw before you dropped off?
Well, a couple of my mates were slagging him off rotten every time he had a half chance or missed one, so I promptly used the last £5 free bet that I had on Sky Bet to chuck him on as next goal scorer, only for Pepe to score minutes afterwards. No, the header, he should have done better with the header.
He should have buried that.
Yeah, I think he was the one that he scored that was offside. I think, like I say, I haven't seen it back, but I think that was probably very, very close. So he was a little bit unlucky there. Bear with me. I have a little visitor. Alfie.
Yeah, there's a comment here on the screen in case you can't read it by Campino Snitch. Says Nketiah didn't have the best of games. Hopefully Balogun's impact will get a good reaction from him.
That's a fair comment.
That's a very good comment. I'm hoping that Baolgin gets a run in the Premier League too, because I think the one thing Eddie seems to have is he gets bumped off the ball like really easily. Like he doesn't have that kind of low center of gravity and strength that Lacazette might have. And Baolgin seems, he's a unit, you know what I mean? He looks like he could hold his space. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think in all honesty, Balogun's chance is long overdue, if anything, actually. He's been tearing it up in the kind of like youth games and what have you. So I mean, I love Nketiah. I'd love to see him do really well as well. I really want him to succeed here. But I think he does need another person, another name to kind of maybe take some of the pressure off, because he looks like, because he's been doing bits, for England under 21 and breaking the record and all of that stuff. But I think he just needs another name there to kind of take that pressure off when he plays for Arsenal, because there are some times where he just kind of snatches at things. And his offside tonight was interesting. I think even the commentator said, like, their first thing were his arms were offside. So
which you can't score with, right? So.
Exactly. So it just did seem a little bit unfortunate. But
did you two have that bloody woman on as well? Did you have BT? Like I say, I don't know what. Yeah, but BT too.
Gav, Josh is in Manchester. He's a Safa in Manchester right now.
Oh, sorry to hear that, mate.
Yeah,
but he's actually, Josh is one of the main reasons that I got back into football. I was dating his mum for a couple of years, and Josh was at high school at the time, so he's a little younger than me. But we used to play FIFA together, play as a team. It was, and we were always, Arsenal and kind of.
We would go to we would go to the beach for like a month-long holiday, and Paul and I would just be glued to FIFA, just playing. It was great, man.
Oh, quality. So you two were nearly
quality holiday. Not related, but we've got beards.
He was nearly your stepson.
I was nearly. Well, I kind of felt like his stepdad for a while. But,
for a little while, yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. Yeah, no. Well,
So we
that's cool.
didn't have. I didn't have that. Whoever
Oh,
the commentator was.
she was. It's the second. I think it's the second or third time I've heard her, and she's absolutely dreadful.
So this
Absolutely dreadful.
Arnie Arneson says, "Why don't you change the channel when she's on?"
Yeah.
you don't have the option, I'm sure. So
no, I mean, at one point my sound cut out, and I was debating leaving the sound off. That's how bad it was.
The one thing I will say about her, though, Gav, not to disagree with you at all, but the one thing that I don't mind about her so much is she is actually quite complimentary of the Arsenal youngsters. Like she does, but I do hear what you mean. Like her reading of the game might not be that insightful, really.
So there's it's a tick box. Like I say, it's a shame because I'm not being sexist about it, and Alex Scott is probably somebody I'd actually turn the TV over to watch.
Yeah, very true.
And there's a couple of other women commentators that are decent and as anything as good as the men. But like I say, I mean, you know, she's up there with the Michael Owens of crapness and Steve McManaman. You know what I mean? She's right the way. She's right the way up there with that, and it's a shame because it gives the decent women commentators a bad name when you know when they do that. But never mind.
You know what's great is there's occasions that I have to watch a game with like normally Liverpool or United or Chelsea supporters. You know, like my brother's friends or they're around, and when Righty is on, like. To a T, every single time he's on commentating or doing anything at halftime or whatever, all of them say, I could listen to that guy talk all the time. He just has the most positive, non-judgmental, he's just so humble, you know, he doesn't have that arrogance that like the Nevilles and the Rios and these people have. It's so annoying, my God. No, anyway, that's a good shout out for Righty. But tell me something. What did you think of Runnison, Josh, in his second clean sheet appearance for the first team?
Gunnar Gunnarsson, him.
Yeah, Gunnar Gunnarsson.
He's. I mean, to be honest, he hasn't had much to do. There are moments where he does seem a little bit shaky, but I honestly feel like he's got like all of the hallmarks. He hasn't had enough game time, I don't think, to really pass like a proper
judgment.
I can't really say anything with much confidence, but he definitely does look like he's got all the hallmarks of like a modern goalkeeper. You know, he doesn't seem to shy away from playing the ball out with his feet. He looks keen to get the ball. You know,
he got lucky with that shot.
He did miss the ball, didn't he? Got one point.
He jumped right over it.
He ran out and decided to jump
completely.
Yeah.
But I guess that's what Polly was also saying earlier. Is like that's thanks to, but also but thanks to Ainsley as well, because it just shows how well Ainsley is reading the game at the moment. You know, Mr. Reliable.
He was lucky with that. I don't know how that guy managed to miss the shot.
Yeah.
But he did manage to fairly convincingly squash his nuts against the post, which I thought was quite convincing.
It's always good to see that, isn't it?
It is, especially when they sit up like somebody's just been given adrenaline after a heart attack. You know, they'd like slide in, nuts hit the post, and then the body just does that 90-degree jackknife. It's a good move. It's the nut post jackknife.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
but yeah, so you know, just talking about you know, our lack of score and creativity, I didn't get a strong feeling tonight that we'd kind of advanced much in that regard. We had a couple of, I mean, we took our chances well, but I didn't feel like we were really creating decent goal scoring chances for, I mean, most of the first half. Did we even test their keeper? I don't think so. Right? Oh, there was that lob. Maitland-Niles did that weird lob that the goalie ran back and tipped over the park, you know, kind of. But how do we solve that problem, Gav? What are we going to do?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know, as we spoke about earlier, Arteta's sort of trying something different tonight, and he did try something different. He's sort of trying to bulk up the midfield at the same time as having 3 players, and they were trying to put the threaded ball through to Eddie. He was unlucky. I think it was a great tackle by the defender on him in the first half. It was a brilliant tackle. So he's trying different things, and when you look at it, really, I mean, he's playing with 2 strikers and 2 wingers tonight, and like I say, it still wasn't quite there. But if you sort of transferred maybe Lacazette's positioning and you put a Baolgin up front, that may have worked a little bit better. Maybe if you had a Saka down the left, that would have worked a little bit better. I mean, Pepe to me is, I like the one thing I like about Pepe, right? Before I really stalk him, is he always tries. He's always trying, and
he doesn't hide. Yeah,
he doesn't hide. He does some things, and they just do not come off. He's getting the ball, and he's trying to take his man on, and it doesn't come off. But he's not hiding once that happens. He's getting once he gets the ball back, he's trying to go again. So I like that about him, but obviously his overall positioning and play, it does leave a little bit to be desired, really. I mean, this is one of these games. I mean, I know he scored a beautiful goal, and he had one that hit the crossbar, which was probably a better shot than the goal, to be fair.
True.
But this is the game where you want him to get a couple of goals and a couple of assists and absolutely look like he's the £72 million player on the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're still not quite getting that from him.
And I think it felt like he was a little bit desperate tonight. There were times when he might have, like laid it off, where it seemed like he was really trying to force a square peg into a round hole and get that goal. And I'm glad he got it. But he can be frustrating at times. There's one thing he does, Josh, it probably annoys you too, is on the break, it seems like there's times when he's like so busy trying to play like a cat with a mouse. He's like trying to play with a toy with the player in front of him, that he wastes like a half a minute and they're back in formation and the transition, the attack is gone. You find that? I mean, our transitions are just not very transition-y.
To be honest with you, I feel like that is actually that's for me the biggest issue at Arsenal at the moment is our transitions. Like Pepe, obviously again there's a different class to playing in the French league and also in Europa, but Pepe really does seem to be someone who thrives on speed of transition and a lot more space. I think people have figured him out, like his kind of probing and stuff, because he's easy to man mark, and that's how people deal with him. So in order to get the best out of Pepe, the speed of transition, he needs to be running onto the ball. I think when it's fed into his feet, you're right. That's a really good analogy, actually, like the cat mouse, like playing with his food thing. But when he's running onto the ball, he does look deadly. I don't think we've seen the best of Pepe at all.
Have we seen the worst?
Probably. Probably. I think so.
What's interesting is that Pepe would benefit more from running the channels that Hector seems to be running these days, and let Hector go to the and do those crosses like he was. I mean, Hector's having a good season, but it seems like Pepe is more lethal when he has that chance to cut in. And why wait 3 minutes for him to do it?
I think Pepe and Ainsley are a better combination on the right hand side, because Ainsley won't be moving into the half space, so that will clear a lot of room for Pepe. Whereas Bellerin and Pepe seem to both be really wanting to get into that half space, So
right,
yeah,
so with Pepe on a 3-card ban, a 3-match ban coming up. Willian was injured, right? He came off at halftime injured. on Sunday. How do you think Arteta's going to line things up against who are we playing? Wolves, is
Wolves,
it?
Wolves on Sunday.
Yeah? Gav, what do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously, I don't even know whether Saka travelled. Hopefully he didn't. So, I mean, you'd want to see Saka starting straight away.
Yeah.
I would have thought we're going to see a Banyang down the middle again. And it wouldn't surprise me if he starts Reece Nelson.
Yeah,
it wouldn't surprise me at all if he starts Reece Nelson, and then that 8 to 10 role. Again, it wouldn't surprise me if he started Lacazette again. So
because he hasn't really done that in the Premier League, Lacazette, playing behind another striker, like he did tonight.
See, that's the thing. I mean, Lacazette's been playing in that position every game he's played this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that he shouldn't have been playing
officially.
in that position. It's not an alien position. So, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. And the fact that with Reece Nelson and Saka, you've got chances and opportunities throughout the game for them to sort of switch over for 10, 15 minutes to give the defender another issue. I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's like the Molde bloody left back tonight knew he was facing Pepe, knew he had to try and show him the outside, and that's probably what he's just been thinking about the last 2 or 3 days, and that was instructions before he goes out. When you've got 2 players that can play both left and right, it gives the defender to sort of double the work and double the confusion.
Right.
And I'd even think with that 3 up front, they could at various points automatically just swap over where they end up at the end of a spell of possession. They could all literally almost keep those positions. So I mean that would be the 3 that I think's ideal. I wasn't impressed whatsoever with Willian, and like I say, I wouldn't want to see him starting, to be fair.
Right. Is Partey back? Do you know?
I've no idea.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the same thing, actually. Don't know.
I would have thought if he was definitely back, I would have thought we may have seen him for 20 minutes today, 20 minutes or half hour today. So the fact he didn't travel might hint really that he's not back, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't think he'll be starting. Even if he is, he'll probably be a sub if at best, probably.
So if Partey is not around, would you have like a Ceballos Xhaka? I thought Xhaka was good today. I thought he was solid.
You do like Xhaka though, don't you?
No, I'm not crazy about him, to be honest, Gav. I think you're mixing him up with Laka. Xhaka, Saka, Laka, Cracker, Xhaka, yeah. I'm not crazy about Xhaka, but I don't think he's as bad as people say. And tonight I do find that he has I think he has a number of passes in his arsenal, more than some of the other players on the pitch. I think he's capable of some really, really good play. He makes some good through balls. Today he seemed to be particularly aggressive at advancing the ball, and I like to see that because it didn't seem like anyone else was really doing it. So Josh, against Wolves, if you've got Saka on the left, like Auba up front, Nelson on the right, and maybe, like I said, playing in the a drop back 9, like a drop 9. Is that even a position?
False 9?
Like a false 9? I don't know. Who else? Who would you put around? Let's go from the forward backwards. Who would you put next to Lacazette? Would you play a 4-3-3 or like a 5-2-3, or how would you play that?
I think we are starting to see a gradual shift to a 4-3-3. It seems to be kind of creeping in. Also, Arteta, his formations are never as literal as they look. Because he always mixes it. The formations between defense and attack are so radically different. But I mean, as soon as Partey came in, that 4-3-3 was almost like an immediate switch. I don't know if he'd be willing to try that again against against Wolves, it'd be interesting to see without Partey in the team. You know, if you're
Let's presume he's not. Let's say he's not available, like you said, he's not fit. He hasn't had a run out, hasn't played a couple of games, and there's been a break. Let's presume he isn't available for selection. Who would you play if you were going to agree with Gav, for instance, and put like
for the 4-3-3? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, then I guess I don't really feel like Xhaka put a foot wrong today. You know, I thought he was kind of solid. And you're right. Like we just don't see. It's such a shame he's so risk averse. You know, because you're completely right. He has that in his locker. Sometimes he'll spray a ball out wide or into a diagonal corner, and it's just brilliant. And you wonder why he doesn't do it all of the time. You know, I think Xhaka's probably done enough. He's been reliable enough for me in the last few months, like going back into last season as well. I mean, to warrant for us to trust him in the starting berth. I think this
and alongside him, who would you play? Ceballos, or would you keep somebody like Willock, who's like a invisible glue kind of?
It's a good question. I don't know. I don't think I've got like an overwhelming preference. Ceballos seems to have. He's got these flashes of excellence, Ceballos, but he just doesn't seem to. I don't know. This is also recently again. I think towards the end of last season, I think all of us were really happy to have him back. You know, coming back for that second loan. Like he was putting in some amazing performances, and I think he was like first in all of our stats. You know, most interceptions, most tackles, most everything. Someone will probably correct me on that, I'm sure. But I want to say Ceballos. He's the name, isn't he, that you would think of? But I don't know. There's a case for El Neni. There's a case for Willock. I guess it just depends. If I don't think playing El Neni and Xhaka makes a lot of sense personally.
No. Yeah.
Especially against Wolves. So I would probably say probably Ceballos. Yeah. Is who I'd see.
And Gav, behind that, Luis seemed to pick up another head knock. I mean, he's always in the wars. I must say, I feel quite sorry for him because that was a painful one. When you arrive there and you clear the ball before the centre forward has his shot on goal.
It was just reckless by their centre forward. You know,
it was pretty reckless, wasn't it? It's like leaving his studs in, you know.
Yeah, he was nowhere near the ball. The ball had gone before he chucked his head in. I thought that was dull.
Right. Mustafi was quite good. Quite good tonight. He was solid, right?
Yeah. Luis. It's again Luis starting. You've got to think that he's possibly gonna start against Wolves as well. So it's a little bit more experience
and creativity.
Yeah. Well, exactly. If Arteta does go to stick with the four at the back, which I hope he does. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Really, I mean, if it's Xhaka, it's got to be Ceballos with him. And like I say, the only other choice really is whether or not he plays similar to what he did tonight with Lacazette in that role, or he plays Willock in that role, which he has tried. But obviously, Willock at the Leeds game was probably still a bit spinny after crashing his car before the game. So.
Is that what happened? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, Sorry, Gavin. I hijacked.
Yeah, no, go on. I mean, if you want to, you basically he was coming off the M25.
Yeah,
and he sort of cut across a couple of lanes.
And in his Datsun.
Yeah, and he's sort of gone out wide on the sort of the slip road, hit the barrier, and span the car around. I mean, he was lucky. That could have been so much worse.
Yeah,
I mean, he did control it quite well, but I think that was just literally. Was that the day of the Leeds game or the day before?
It was literally either the day or the day before. I think it might have even been the day actually. Gav. Crazy.
Wow. Okay, so you're a bit shook up from that, but so obviously like Tierney on the left, Luis in the centre with Gabriel on the left.
Gotta be
on the left of him, or
you would have. Yeah,
and then who do you put? Do you put Holding or Mustafi?
No, like I say, I think basically he's going to go with a flat back four, really.
Okay.
So that'd be
Bellerin,
yeah,
Luis, Gabriel, Tierney.
Yeah, that's what I think he's ideal is. And if you're playing that, and then you're playing Xhaka with two other midfielders, then
He drops back in
Xhaka almost becomes the third centre back sometimes.
on the left.
But
Yeah.
I mean, as Josh said, it's not as easy to say, okay, we're playing a 4-3-3 this game. It's generally different formations depending on whether we've got the ball, whether we haven't got the ball, whether we're holding for a little while, or whether we're we're trying to break. Or it's all very, very fluid, which should confuse the opposition when it's not confusing us. That's the thing when it comes to sort of lining up like that. You've just got to make sure that the players know exactly their job. So
right,
I think that's basically what we'll do for Wolves.
do you think maybe we're just going through this extended teething problem where those transformation shifts, those formation shifts haven't become kind of automatic? Like Mertesacker used to talk about those automatisms where like one thing would happen and automatically triggered like a formation change. If somebody got a ball in a certain area, just without even thinking, you just would move into a certain shape. Do you think it's just taking longer, or do you think how much do you think Arteta is at fault for trying to make players play in formations that are cramping otherwise their style, their creativity, and their ability to express themselves? Because Wenger always had that. He was the opposite. He had very little interaction with them during a game. He picked his team and then he put them on the pitch and hoped that they'd figure it out, on the spot. How much do you think Arteta as a new manager is trying to be too controlly? Do you think he has?
I think he is, but he is. I mean, you when you listen to him speak, he uses words like express yourself, learn how to take the risks, don't be scared or afraid. So he's putting his positions in place, but then he's saying, don't be scared to take your man on. Don't be scared to take a risk. Don't be scared to try that ball. Which, if he's saying it in the press conferences, you can only literally be repeating what he's saying. And
hopefully, yeah.
Pepe and Reece Nelson have picked up on that because they are trying things. They are trying to take their man on. They are trying different things. I don't think the whole of the team is getting it. I think in some instances the wide players who are naturally like that anyway. That's what they were basically born to bloody do. They're getting that, but the rest of the team isn't quite grabbing that one. The players that would be more, what's the word? More conservative in nature. I mean, Xhaka's pretty conservative in nature.
Yeah, he protects possession and yeah,
exactly. So I mean, he doesn't want
high percentages.
Give away the balls, and that's when you get to the point where we do get at some points where we're playing the easy ball, and it's not an automatic, quick two touches and the ball's being played again. They're sort of a touch and holding it a split second too long. So I think it's a bit of both, really. To answer your question, I don't think there's a particular yes or no answer to it. I think some players are buying into that and buying into the freedom to express themselves a little bit more than others. And they all should. I mean, we want to see. I mean, as Arsenal supporters, you want to see. Firstly, you want to see us win, and then you want to see us winning well and winning with style. Yeah. But as long as we're winning, that's the important thing.
Well, winning takes the pressure off a lot for everybody.
I think some of the people I've been reading almost want us to start losing in style as well. I guess at the moment,
exactly. Losing in style is good. To try. If at first you don't succeed, well, try again. If you don't try it and you don't succeed, then then what are you doing? Really, you should be doing something else. It was interesting tonight though, because it reminded me a lot of the fact that in the Premier League, there's a lot of frustration you can tell during the game if you keep an eye on like Aubameyang or whoever's occupying those front line spots. They're not really renowned for making lots of runs and making themselves available, but when they do, 4 or 5 times in a row and nobody fucking tries to attempt to reach them, that's got to kill you. And tonight Lacazette was like, I saw maybe 5 or 6 chances in the last 20 minutes when he was playing more advanced. He was playing off the shoulder. There was like gaping wide places for a well placed through ball, and he'd make the run and it just didn't happen. And it's just, that's got to be frustrating, right? Is that where we've broken down, Josh, in the midfield? Finding those passes.
Midfield is definitely a problem. I think that there seems to be, like, we play that double pivot quite a lot, and it usually means that 2 midfielders end up being quite close to the defense in terms of, or in our own half at least, like in our transition. So there's often like this gaping void, where there needs to be at least 1 pair of legs, so that we can create more triangles. Because there's no forward thrust or impetus or urgency sometimes. Well, I think we saw a little bit of it in the second half today, to be completely fair. And I think that when Mikel closes his eyes and envisions how he wants Arsenal to play, there are those snappy diagonal, like, I don't know, it just seems to be lacking in the league at the moment, which is it's very frustrating to watch. Some of the games that we've seen recently, especially against Leeds and Villa, it just wasn't there at all, But I don't.
It just don't help. The whole situation can sort of just basic. This is the thing. Is it the fault of the attackers not making the runs that the midfielders haven't got the runs to hit the ball to them to? Or is it the fact that the midfielders have stopped looking for them passes, so the midfielders, so the attackers aren't making them runs? And it seems to be a bit of both. There's both.
It's communication.
It's almost like a little disconnect, and sometimes the whoever is playing at number 9, the gap between them and the rest of the team,
it's crazy.
It's massive, especially if you're not hitting balls quick. So that they've almost got sort of, either the midfielders have got to almost break their line and run 5-10 yards with the ball, or the attackers got to drop back. I think there was one move in the first half that I really liked, and I don't know who had the ball, but it was Reece Nelson, and I think it might have been Maitland-Niles had the ball, and Reece Nelson sort of dropped back as it this is on the left hand side of the pitch. He sort of dropped back to get the ball, and then as Maitland-Niles has sort of gone another yard with the ball, he's then sprinted on, and he was found straight away. So he sort of dropped back to get the ball,
anticipating
get the ball, and then he sprinted forwards, which created a gap straight away. And I think we ended up with another corner out of it or whatever. But it was just that movement that he's dropped back and then sprinted forwards. So it gives the defender again something else to think about, and that's something we don't seem to be doing as much of it as well. So there's lots to be concerned about. But again, we've just won 3-0 away.
Yeah, that was the victory.
In a very cold environment, it looks out there as well, on a dodgy pitch, which the ball seemed to be sort of sticking, especially the first half. So we should be quite happy, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah, and listen, we've done great. We've done really well in Europa League. I think we've won 11 out of 12 games. I think we've only lost 1 away game in the whole Europa League against Cologne. But it was interesting what you're saying about the like the ball carriers, Josh. Is I noticed that when somebody does decide to go out on a limb, whether it's Mustafi or Holding or Willock or any of those guys, they pick up the ball from deep and they make a run. You see these guys standing in front of them, as they run towards them, thinking what, you're running towards me? Okay, you're here now. Now we're both here, and now they've got the ball, and we both have to run back. It's I seem to remember at least you knew if somebody was doing that, you had to create some kind of movement, create a space for them, or do it's strange when you watch somebody running for 25 yards up to somebody and they haven't moved. They've been like, "You're not allowed." What? You're not allowed running with the ball. Yeah, it's kind of. There's moments like that I think really like.
It's weird. I've heard like a lot of people saying that maybe Mikel kind of micromanages the game in every aspect of the game too much. Like, I think what we want to see is, because he's I think it's undeniable, right, that he's definitely brought a defensive solidity to the team.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and in fact, we can sometimes look quite good in defense. You know, like it actually it's I enjoy watching how we line up in when we don't have the ball, and how
I don't think we've conceded a goal in set pieces in the Premier League.
Yeah,
we're the only
true.
team still. Yeah, so sorry, I interrupted. Yeah, but
no, that's true.
Okay.
That's true. And barring the games to Villa and Liverpool, I don't think we often let more than one goal go in. You know, it's not frequent that people are scoring 2-3 goals against us. But I think what we're itching for is that kind of like defensive rigidity and solidity that Mikel has brought, but maybe coupled with a bit of Wenger's kind of laissez-faire approach to attacking play. Because I think what's happening is when someone does grab the ball and charge, just like the kind of play that you just outlined, and you're right, he does usually approach one of our other players and they don't quite know where to go, and it looks like they've been told, like, you occupy this channel, you know, this is your channel, so you can't go anywhere else, almost, you know. Whereas what they should be doing is like thinking on their feet and just quickly, you know, vacating that space and creating another pocket somewhere else. I mean, again, this is all just spitballing kind of. I don't know how true that is, but it feels like that sometimes. Like we just don't have any imagination or much imagination going forward at the moment.
Right.
So I mean, I kind of just to go on with that, Paul. I mean, me and yourself were at the age where we remember when George Graham took over, and the first thing he did was build the team from the back.
Right.
Get us. I mean, Wenger didn't have that problem or that issue because he inherited
it. Yeah.
He inherited one of the best defences. Them and the famous back four of Milan is the two best defences in the world ever, in world football ever. There's stats, trophies, and longevity prove that without a shadow of a doubt. But like I say, George Graham, he built the defence and he trained the defence, and we made ourselves hard to beat. And then
it's a good place to start, right?
Well, you've got to. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're keeping a clean sheet every game, you're not going to lose too many. I mean, you're not going to lose any.
Well, you can't lose,
You can't lose. So it's but the fact that we are defending well is brilliant, because I mean our defence has been a shit show for like a decade, 10 years now. It's been absolutely appalling. And the fact that we've got 3 or 4 decent centre backs that we can play, and Mustafi, right? He's a good position to be in.
And Socrates.
Exactly.
He's being paid not to play. Yeah.
I'll pay him not to play as well, to be fair. But so I mean, it's a good position to be in, and it's probably the right way of doing it. And it hasn't cost us too much money either to get into that position. He's more or less seen what we've got and worked with what we've got, and obviously there's some very good scouting and a decent amount of money that went on Gabriel. So we're in a good position defensively.
Gabriel and Tierney they're two for the future. I can see those guys for the next 10 years, I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine having those two around for 10 years? If we can fill in the other two, we're halfway there, right?
And we've probably already actually close to filling in at least one of them. I don't think. A lot of personal issues, of course, and I think if he goes back to Saint Etienne on loan for the remainder of the season, that will be great. But I think that guy he's going to be a monster for us as well. I haven't
seen enough to really validate that. I don't feel. I mean, I want to believe the hype. I didn't get to watch him as much as probably all the Saint Etienne watchers might have. I mean, what little I saw, was it the Emirates Cup or one of those games or something? I saw him play. He seemed pretty solid.
The thing, I mean, the thing about centre backs is they don't often mature. They don't often mature until they're mid to late 20s.
True.
Right.
So, I mean, the fact that Gabriel has come in and done so well is really, really an exception to the rule. You don't generally get centre backs that are that good at that age, and that's my issue with the Saliba gentleman. Like I say, it probably is. Maybe it could be 1, 2, 3 seasons before we actually see a decent quality player coming out of him. But in the meantime, you know, Holding is looking quite good. Holding, dare I say it?
Listen, I'm a Rob Holding fan. He like that FA Cup, the Chelsea FA Cup. And as far as I'm concerned, like the guys were singing his praises in the Tollington after that game because he had Costa in his pocket. He didn't put a foot wrong. He was awesome. I think he's combative. He's consistent. I think he's got good ball control. You know, people don't rate him. I think it's just because he's losing his hair a little bit and they're just jealous or whatever. Tell me something, just to switch gears completely. So I heard today that Awar has been suspended or something because he's not going to training. Has anyone heard that? Have you heard that?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Gav, you heard that? Do you think there's a chance he might make a move in January for somebody like that? Or
I think, I mean, Edu and Arteta must know, look, where we're missing. And like I say, that's why they've tried 2 or 3 different players in that role over the last 2 or 3 games. We're desperate for an attacking, combative midfielder who's going to contribute, you know, with double-figure goals for the season. We're that desperate. So if there is any money in there or there's any wiggle room to get anybody out in January, then if it's not him, it's going to be somebody else. Even if it's a loan deal, they're going to have to take a chance and get somebody in.
Do you see anyone leaving? Do you see anyone clearing anyone out this January, or is it just going to be a lame dead rubber?
Well, they're going to try their utmost to get rid of Ozil, obviously, because you know he's becoming a bit of an embarrassment to the club with his social media antics, etc. So there will be. I mean, they're probably trying, and they've probably been trying since August to try and get somebody to pay his wages. You know, for a team and an area of which Ozil would be happy to bugger off to and play in. Obviously, Socrates as well. I mean, our squad is pretty bloated when you look at it. You know, it might be a case of a few smaller deals to get some money in. It might even be the case of Reece Nelson getting a loan deal, Smith Rowe getting a loan deal, Chambers getting a loan deal. It might be the case of some of those players going out on loan, even if there's no fee, just to get their wages off the books to balance somebody else coming in. So there's that. But I mean, I don't think, you know, it very, very shocked me if Kroenke sanctioned a 40, 50 million pound deal without any income coming in. Even if they are looking at it as a long-term deal and offsetting Ozil and Socrates for wages when they leave at the end of the season. Right.
Last little thing, because today obviously was, I think it was today. The days seem to go on and on, but the death of Diego Maradona. Did you guys have any kind of anecdotal experience about him? Any thoughts that you wanted to add about Maradona and what he might have meant to you guys? Josh?
Well, you know, he's a legend. You know, it's very, very sad for the footballing world to lose the character which is Maradona, I think, and also I don't know if anyone can validate this, if either of you guys, but is he like an Arsenal fan, or is that his English team? Like, what?
I saw Gav posted a newspaper cutting where he wanted to join Arsenal after Boca Juniors, right? We
That's
had didn't we have an agent down in Argentina who was headhunting all the?
It was around, like I say. I mean, this is early '80s, and it was around the same time that
And the league stopped
over.
it.
That's the story.
So, tell us. Sorry, I interrupted.
Well, I mean, that's the story. The story is that the league didn't want to sanction them as overseas players, but then at the same time, Tottenham bought over Ardiles and the other fella, Ricky Villa. So that sounds a bit of a weird one as well. And I think there was probably a little inquiry somewhere along the lines about whether or not that was possible. And my thing with, and I don't think I'll ever get over his cheated goal. So I was 13, 14 when that World Cup happened, and I had a picture of him handballing it on the back of my door, and I used to growl at him every time I looked at it, which was like, it was on my bedroom door,
And the second goal, you didn't have a picture of that one, right?
No, I didn't have a picture of that one. I mean, there's no undenying the fact that he's one of the most talented players there's ever been. And I like the fact he was a bit of a maverick. He lived his life very, very fully. He probably kept a few Colombians very, very well paid.
Colombian cities.
Yeah, very, very well paid for a very, very long time. So, I mean, he played hard, he lived hard, that's it. But like I say, I don't. That's the thing. If he didn't handball that goal, I would be immensely gutted and be absolutely waxing lyrical about him and how well loved he is all over the world. But like I said, I just won't get over that, really. Do you know what I mean?
I can relate. When with our 2010 World Cup, the first African World Cup, and it was in South Africa, and then Cameroon got all the way to the to the point where Luis Suarez handballed that goal, the goal off the line in extra time, and then they lost the penalties and stuff. It was just like, I fucking hated Luis Suarez forever after that. I cursed him. Then when he was going to join, there was a chance of him joining Arsenal. I was like, my brain couldn't compute the idea that I might have to suddenly fucking support this absolute prick. I could not stand him.
That was actually going to be my question to Gav, was actually like, if he ended up, if Maradona ended up playing for Arsenal, do you think he could have forgiven the handball?
Again, if it was around,
hard, isn't it?
See, this is the other one. I mean, it's quite documented that certain sections of the Tottenham support around the Falklands War were bringing out Argentinian flags in the crowd.
Right. Wow. Okay.
So,
even more reason to hate those twants. Yeah.
Well, there's never, you don't really need a reason to hate them, do you?
No, but another one is always good.
But yeah. So if he was with us around that sort of time, then I would have hoped that they would have sold him. To be fair, because I mean, but again, like I say, he's a very, very proud Argentinian. He's probably, one of the most loved Argentinian people ever, or Argentines ever in their home nation. I mean, he's a complete god. You can only see by the outpouring of grief, emotion, and celebration for him. Which, like I say, fair play. He deserved it. He earned it. It's, like I say, just worked my cup of tea, and I'm kind of glad in a way that he weren't at Arsenal when the Falklands was going on and all that. Do you know what I mean?
It's an interesting perspective, actually.
Anyway, lads, I'm a
coming up
celebrity starting.
All right, it's coming up to an hour, and I just wanted to thank you both for tonight. It was good to have a chat, and Josh, I hope you join us again. It was
good, Josh. Josh, jump in again, mate.
Thank you so much.
Come on, game when your dad ain't on.
No, thank you.
I'm chaperoning him. But, anyway, guys, it was great to have you, and we're rounding up an hour right now. I hope all of you listening have enjoyed the pod. We'll see you again after Wolves. Have a good week and take care.
Up the Arsenal.
That's the one. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye.